Okay, a very good morning to all of you. Myself, Dr. Varun Narayan Mishra. Today, I am going to discuss about different digital image classification techniques for mapping the urban area. Okay, when we talk about urban planning and regional planning, so first we need to map the urban area. So how this image classification techniques, how different kinds of image processing techniques and image classification techniques are useful for mapping the urban area, so that we can easily extract the images, we can easily extract the information about the area with urban or non-urban. We can easily calculate the area statistics for different urban classes. So before starting the topic, first we should know what is digital image classification. As all we know that all these remote sensing images are in the multispectral mode. Means the images are required at different wavelength intervals. So we are having multispectral images. So the digital image classification technique is the process of sorting out or grouping the pixels into a finite number of individual classes or categories based on their data file values. As all we know that each and every images is having pixels, each pixel having a certain or fixed value that is known as digital number value or DN value or brightness value. Okay, so whatever the pixel value is there, that is representing the specific class or specific land cover feature. So the process of digital image classification is the grouping and sorting the pixels of the same type into a finite number of individual classes or categories. If a pixel satisfies a certain rate of criteria, then the pixel is assigned to the class that corresponds to the criteria. Okay, if the pixel is having higher reflectance, then it may be different class. If the pixel is having low reflectance, it may be different class. If the pixel is having middle type of you can say the average pixel values, it may have different classes. So depending on the pixel value or depending on the spectral response of different earth surface features that is captured at different wavelength intervals, we can categorize the pixels of the same type, pixels of the same properties into finite number of individual classes or categories. So this is the process which is known as digital image classification. Means image classification is the automatic categorization or automatic grouping of the pixels of the same type. Okay, so multispectral classification may be performed using a variety of algorithms. There may be different classification algorithms are available, so that we can use any of them to classify our satellite images to get the information about the urban area, to get the information about built up water bodies, fallow land, forest, agriculture, anything. So the two types of classification methods are there: hard classification, or you can say hybrid classification. So hard classification using supervised or unsupervised approaches, whereas fuzzy logic classification is also there. And third type of classification is hybrid classification, that involves the two different classification processes. That's why it is known as hybrid approach. So three types of classification algorithms are present: hard classification, that includes supervised and unsupervised, then fuzzy logic based classification, and third one is hybrid classification, that is often involving the use of ancillary information. Okay, so the image classification, as we already discussed, that it's a grouping of similar features, it's a grouping of similar kind of pixels, it's a separation of dissimilar ones, and it assigns the class level to each pixel depending on their reflectance, depending on their characteristics and properties. We assign a class, we assign a category to a pixel. Okay, so the resulting output in manageable size of the classes. So this is the process in which, like you can see here, this is satellite images. The satellite image is made of different pixels. Each pixel represents a specific class. So the classification is the categorization or grouping of the pixel of the same class. Like this satellite image is now having different classes of grass, wheat, potato, then other classes are there. So you can see the satellite image is classified into different classes on the basis of their spectral response, so that we can have information about the spectral response, and on the basis of spectral response, on the basis of the pixel value, we can group or we can categorize the same kind of pixels into a specific class. So this is the process of digital image classification, through which we can categorize our satellite images. We can perform the classification mapping for getting the information about urban area, non-urban area, any kind of earth surface feature. Okay, so the classification methods may be also of different types: manual, then computer based methods, and stratified. So in manual classification method, we use visual interpretation techniques. After applying visual interpretation elements, we can identify or we can map different classes. So this is a manual classification method. In manual classification method, we combine both the information acquired in terms of spectral and spatial. Okay, so in this manual classification, we apply image interpretation elements. Visually we can apply image interpretation elements, and visually we can identify different classes of interest. So we can do the classification, or we can assign the classes on the basis of their spectral and spatial information. Computer assisted or computer based classification method is mainly, or you can say totally, dependent on the spectral response pattern of different features, different land surface features in different spectral bands or different wavelength intervals. Then a stratified classification method uses the GIS functions to incorporate, and it is based on the knowledge from other sources of the information. Okay, so three major methods of the classification, or you can say three different ways, three different manners to classify our satellite images, which is manual, computer based, and stratified. So why we use it, why we do classification? Okay, so the classification is generally, as already discussed, that classification is the categorization of the same kind of pixels. Suppose if you are working on urban planning or urban mapping, so first you need to know which area is urban area, which area is non-urban area. So for getting the information, or for getting the area of urban class, you need to perform the classification. Classification is used to translate the continuous variability of the images into the map pattern that provides the meaning to the user. It is used to obtain the insight in the data with respect to the ground cover and surface characteristics. And also it is used to find the anomalous pattern in the image data set. Okay, so the classification is very important to see or to identify the variability of the image pixel, so that you can have the information about different kinds of classes. It is also helpful to obtain the insight in the data with respect to the ground cover and the surface characteristics. Okay, so the advantages of digital image classification are that these are the cost effective methods, and it is used as a result, can be reproduced as a form of digital format, digital data sets. It is more objective than visual interpretation. Computer based classification methods are more useful and more objective in comparison to the visual interpretation. It is very effective in analyzing the complex multi-band interrelationship. So these are the four advantages of the digital image classification, or you can say the advantages of computer based classification system. We can analyze the larger number of data sets in a short period of time. It's cost effective. You can have the results in the form of maps. It's more objective than the visual interpretation. It is effective for analyzing the complex multi-spectral interrelationship of different sensors or different satellites. Okay, also the classification helps us to reduce the dimensionality of the data set. Okay, so the spectral dimensionality is determined by the number of sets of the values that is being used in the process. In image processing or in digital image classification, each band of the data is a set of values. An image with 4 bands of the data is said to be 4-dimensional. Okay, so as all we know that satellite images are available, satellite images consist multiple bands or different wavelength intervals. Okay, so a image, suppose a image is having 4 bands or 8 bands or 10 bands, it means the number of bands contained in that image will be the dimensionality of the data set. So in image processing, the dimensionality is very important, as each and every band or each and every wavelength interval in a satellite image is having certain information, certain characteristics of the feature. So spectral dimensionality is determined by the set of the number of values which is being used in the process, and an image with more number of spectral bands will be considered as the more dimensional data set. If it is having 8 band images, its dimensionality, it is considered as a 8 dimensional images. Okay, so image classification also helps to reduce the dimensionality. The entire image is now will be converted into a single thematic class, into single thematic map, that will be having only the single layer or single thematic layer. Okay, that is helpful to reduce the dimensionality of data set. Measurement vector, the measurement vector of a pixel is the set of data files that for one pixel in all the n bands. Okay, as we know that the image is having multiple bands, so the measurement vector of a pixel is the set of data file that will be for one pixel in all the bands. Although the image data files are stored band by band, but it is often necessary to extract the measurement vector for the individual pixel. So measurement vector can be performed for each and every pixel, for all the bands, for all the multispectral bands in that satellite image. Okay, so this is the way you can see we are having different bands, band 1, band 2, band 3. This is the satellite image showing different bands, 1 band, 2 band, 3. Total number of bands n is equal to 3. Okay, so I is the particular band and vi is the data file values of the pixel in band I. Then the measurement vector for this pixel is v1, v2, v3. Okay, v1 is the pixel value in band 1, v2 is the pixel value in band 2, and v3 is the pixel value in band 3. So by getting the pixel value of a individual pixel in all the bands, we can measure the vector file for that pixel, that is vi. Vi includes the pixel value of a particular pixel in all bands, that is band 1, band 2, band 3. It is considered as v1, pixel value for band 1, v2, pixel value of an individual pixel in band 2, and v3 is the pixel value of an individual pixel in band 3. So this is the way we can store different bands, we can store the different pixel values, or we can calculate the measurement vector for all the bands, for all the pixels present in every band in that satellite image. Okay, so what is the mean vector? Okay, so when the measurement vectors of the several pixels are analyzed, a mean vector is often calculated. Mean vector means it's the average of the pixel and its surrounding pixels. That is mean vector or mean pixel value. It is based on the mean pixel value. When we analyze the several pixels at a time, so the mean vector is often calculated. This is the vector of the means of the data file in each band. It has an element. Okay, suppose we are having training sample, each and every training sample having different pixels. So each pixel having different vector value, different mean vector. Okay, so this is known as mean vector. Mean vector is calculated on the basis of the pixel value and its surrounding pixel values when we are talking about a training sample. A training sample mean of the value in a sample in band 1 is mu1, mean of these values in band 2 is mu2, and the mean of the pixel value for band 3 is mu3. So the combination or the collection of all the mean vectors for all the bands is considered as a mean vector mu, which is mu1, mu2, and mu3. This is about the mean vector. Now image space. So image space, like as we know that the pixels in the image is stored in the form of rows and columns. Each and every pixel are arranged in the form of rows and column, and each pixel having certain digital number. Okay, so the band 1 data is also having rows and column, band 2 data is also having row and column, band 3 data is also having row and column. Each row and column is a kind of pixel, and each pixel having certain dn value. Okay, so this is the multi-band image showing band 1, band 2, band 3, and each band we may have different pixels, and each pixels having some certain digital values. In the same way, the entire pixels in that image is arranged in the form of rows and column. Okay, so in image space, we consider the rows and column, and the row and column is the arrangement of the elements corresponding to the reflectance or emitted energy from the instantaneous field of view. The spatial arrangement of the measurements of the reflected or emitted energy. So this is known as image space. Means the pixels are arranged in the form of rows and column, and each pixel is having certain digital number values or DN value. You can also call it as a brightness value. So this is the way we can define the image space. Feature space. Feature space is also an important part when we are discussing about the image classification. So a feature space is just simply a graph of the data file, the value of one band of the data against the value of another band. Suppose a pixel is in band 1 is having certain value, pixel in the band 2 is having certain value, pixel in the band 3 is having certain value. So okay, so the pixel value of the same type of the class, pixel value of the same object in 3 different bands are considered as the feature space. Okay, so analyzing the pattern in the multispectral data, suppose we are talking about pixel A. So pixel A will be available for all the bands. So there will be 3 values of that pixel of a particular class that will having, suppose 34, 25, 117. Then pixel B having 3 values as per the availability of, as per the inclusion of 3 bands, that is 34, 24, 119. Pixel C is 11, 77, and 51. So this is the way we can define the feature space. Feature space is simply a graph of the data files of one band of the data against the value of the another band. That is feature space. Okay. So one-dimensional feature space and multi-dimensional feature space. You can see here we are having the satellite images, and when we consider the one-dimensional feature space, you can see the image value and the number of pixels. Okay, so this is the distinction between the classes. Each and every classes may have different feature space, may have different grouping of the pixels. So on the basis of the feature space, we can easily identify, we can easily distinguish different types of classes, because as we know that the same kind of pixels may be considered as a group, or you can say it's a kind of categorization of the same pixels. So the feature space may be considered, may be used to distinguish between different classes on the basis of the grouping of particular class, particular pixel of the same type. Okay, so this is a feature space for multi-dimensional images. This is the figure showing the feature space for multi-dimensional space, that is having images in multiple bands, 1, 2, 3, and each and every band we can have the feature space. Either when we talk about only 2 bands, band 1, band 2, it is considered as 2-dimensional feature space. When we consider 3 bands, that is band 1, band 2, band 3, it is considered as the 3-dimensional feature space. So the value or the vector information, the vector value, the measurement of the vector for every pixel in that image is considered as the feature vector. So this is the way we can use feature space for multi-dimensional data set that will provide you the information of the pixel value which is distributed among different bands of the satellite images. Okay, this is also another figure showing the feature space in terms of scatterogram. Okay, we can also represent the feature space using scatterogram facility, is scatterogram option available in this software. Okay, so band 1 and band 2 may be different kinds of pixel values. The 2 or 3-dimensional graph or the scattered diagram formation of the clusters of the points representing the DN value in 1, in 2, 3 spectral bands. Each cluster of the point corresponds to a certain land cover type on the ground. So we can also visualize, we can also represent the feature space using scatterogram. The figure showing here in the slide is that it is showing the color. Each color is representing the scatterogram for particular pixel of a specific land use, land cover class, or any land surface feature. This is about the feature space. Okay, so now moving to the next slide, this is about the distances and clusters in the feature space. So we can also calculate the distance between the two clusters of the pixels. Okay, that is known as Euclidean distance. Euclidean distance is the measurement. It's a distance between two clusters of the class, two clusters of the pixels of different classes. Okay, that is known as Euclidean distance. In this figure, you can see this is having the XY band. For X band, it is having unit 5 dn, and for Y band, it is having 5 dn. So you can calculate the distance between two clusters of the pixels in two-dimensional space, that is X and Y. Okay, and this is known as cluster. Cluster means the grouping of the same kind of pixels, and there are, if there are multiple clusters of the same kind of pixels, so you can calculate the distance between two or more number of clusters, that is known as Euclidean distance. Okay, spectral distance is also an important term. So Euclidean spectral distance is the distance in n-dimensional spectral space. It's a number that allows two measurement vectors to be compared for similarity. The spectral distances between two pixels can be calculated as follows. This is the formula for calculating the spectral distance. D is equal to under root summation di minus ei ka whole square, where di is the spectral distance, n is the number of bands, that is also considered as a dimension, I is the particular band, di is the data file value of pixel d in the band I, ei is the data file value of pixel e in the band I. This is the equation of Euclidean distance in two-dimensional space. It can be simplified to the Pythagorean theorem, that is c square is equal to a square plus b square, or it can also be written as d square is equal to di minus ei ka whole square plus dj minus ej ka whole square. So this is the way in which we can calculate the spectral distance between two clusters of the pixels. That is also known as Euclidean spectral distance. Okay. So these are the general steps that is used to extract the information from the remotely sensed images. So first we have to, first step, that is state of the nature of the classification problem. We have to define the region of interest. After defining the region of interest, we will identify the classes of interest. In the second step, we acquire the appropriate remotely sensed and ground reference data set. Then we can go for the image processing of remotely sensed data to extract the thematic information after performing radiometric and geometric correction. Okay, after this we can select an appropriate classification algorithm, either supervised or unsupervised. So under supervised we may have different options, parallelepiped, maximum likelihood. Then unsupervised is also having different options. Then we can select most appropriate bands and extract the training statistics from final band selection, and we can go for the extraction of the thematic information. And after that, at last we can validate our result, we can calculate the errors, we can have the accuracy assessment of the classification maps. Okay, so these are the general steps involved in the extraction of thematic information. Either we are talking about urban planning, or we can talking about urban mapping, urban area mapping, vegetation mapping, forest mapping, or water mapping. Any kind of land surface features can be mapped, can be extracted using remote sensing images by applying these kind of general steps or methods. Okay, so this is the entire image classification process. We will start from the selection of image data, then we can go for the selection of training data, then we can having the training and selection of the algorithm, then we can define the clusters in the feature space, then we can run the actual classification, and the classification data can be done to, uh, to produce a thematic map or classified map, and then that classified map will be validated, will be assessed using some reference data set. Okay, so this is the entire process of the classification, that is image classification process. Okay, now moving to the next slide. Yeah, it is also important for the analyst or user to realize that there is a fundamental difference between the information class and spectral class. Okay, so what is difference between information class and spectral class? When we talk about information class, so the information class are those that human being define, and spectral classes are the those who who are inherent in the remote sensing data that must be identified and then labeled by the analyst. A spectral class is related to the spectral response that is inherent in the remotely sensed data sets, whereas the information class are the classes what we identify or what we define on the basis of the visual interpretation of that satellite image. So information class and spectral class are two important terms, and these are very important when we talk about classification or when we talk about the extraction of thematic information from the satellite images. Now, there are two kinds of classification process: supervised classification and unsupervised classification. So first, I will discuss about the supervised classification and different types of classification methods under supervised classification. So the supervised classification is the identification and location of some of the land cover types or surface features such as urban area, agricultural land, wasteland, water bodies are known as a prior through a combination of the field work and experience. The analyst attempts to locate the specific site in the remotely sensed data that represent the homogeneous examples of these known land cover types known as training sites. For supervised classification, they perform multivariate statistical analysis that can be used for calculating the training sites, and each and every pixel in the image having both inside and outside the training site is evaluated and assigned to the class which it has the highest likelihood of being a member. So this is the way in which we can do the supervised classification. The steps involved in the supervised classification is shown here. So the first we have to work for the identification of the sample areas, that is training sites, then partitioning of the feature space. Then we can go for the cluster. Cluster is a representation of a particular class, and it includes the minimum number of observations, that is 30 into n. N is the number of bands, and after that a class sample may be identified, may be categorized, that is a number of the training pixels, and it forms a cluster in the feature space. So this is the entire process of performing the supervised image classification. Now moving to the next slide. So what is unsupervised classification? So unsupervised classification includes the identities of land cover types that will be specified as a class within a scene that are generally not known as a prior, that is not priorly known to the user because the ground reference information is not present, and the computer is required to group the pixels of the same type with similar spectral response into unique classes according to some statistical information or some statistical criteria. And then analysts combine the relabels the spectral clusters into information classes. This is all about the unsupervised classification. Unsupervised image classification having several components, several steps, that is clustering algorithm, then user define the cluster parameters, then class mean vectors are arbitrarily set by the algorithm, then we have to set the class allocation of vector space or feature vectors, then class allocation for iteration, recompute the class mean vectors, then iteration will be continued until the convergence threshold has been reached, and final class allocation can be done and cluster statistics reporting can be performed. So these are the steps involved in the unsupervised image classification. So what is the difference between unsupervised and supervised training? So supervised versus unsupervised training is like in unsupervised, in case of supervised training, it is important to have a set of desired classes. You need to first identify the set of desired classes when we are going to apply supervised classification, and then create the appropriate signatures. Okay, so supervised classification means you have to first define the number of classes, whatever you desire, whatever you need. Then you can go for the creation of the training samples, training signatures. Supervised classification is appropriate when you want to identify relatively few classes. When you have selected training sites, then that can be verified with the ground data set. Okay. On the other hand, when we are going to determine by the spectral distinction that are inherent in the data set, so that can be defined the classes later, and then the application is better suited to unsupervised training. Okay. Unsupervised training enables you to define the many classes easily, and it can be used to identify the classes that are not in the continuous and easy recognized region. In unsupervised, You don't need to assign the classes prior to the classification. Computer automatically categorize the pixels of the same type and create the number of classes. Then you have to check the number of classes assigned by the computer from the ground data set, and you can have the information how many classes you want to include in your thematic map or your classification. So this is the difference between unsupervised and supervised training, and you can say the supervised and unsupervised process. Okay, so unsupervised classification method, unsupervised approach is based on the spectral groupings that considers only the spectral distance measurement. It is minimum under the interaction. It requires interpretation after classification. Whereas supervised approach is based on the spectral groupings. It incorporates some prior information, prior knowledge about the study area, and it is maximum user interaction is there. Supervised approach includes maximum user interaction, maximum user control in comparison to the unsupervised approach. That's why it is known as supervised approach, because user having all the control over the classification process. User can supervise the entire process. That's why it is known as supervised classification method. So in supervised classification method or in supervised training process, you rely on your own pattern that is recognized by your skills, your prior information, prior knowledge about the study area, about the data. That helps you to create some statistical criteria to create the signatures for data classification. To select the reliable samples, you should know some information, either spatial or spectral, about the pixels that you want to classify. So the some of the problems in supervised classification is that all the pixels or other their feature vectors must be compared to predefined clusters, and thus the rules for that comparison must be set up. The clusters have to be defined with the help of the training sets. So this is the way in which we can partition the feature space into different classes. So the entire feature space or entire information can be grouped into different classes: class A, class B, class C, and class D. That is based on the decision boundaries, and then you have to assign the class to each pixel depending on their decision boundary. We may have the option to assign the class to each pixel in the feature space. So what is the training sample? What is feature space? So training samples is already known. You can also consider as training samples or signatures. Training samples or signatures are the set of the pixels that represents the particular object, that represents this object or Earth surface features or the potential class. So the system calculates the statistics from the sample pixel that is used to create a parametric signature for the classes. So how to select the training samples, or how to create training signatures or training uh, signatures or training samples. So training data for a class should be collected from homogeneous environment, and each site, each location is usually composed of many pixels. So the general rule for selecting a training sample is that if the training data is being collected from n bands, then there may be greater than 10 n pixels of the training set is to be collected for each class. This is sufficient to compute variance covariance matrices that are required by some classification algorithm. Suppose if you are having 2-band data set, so you have to collect at least 10 into 2, 20 pixels of the training set for a particular class, for each class. If it is having 5-band data sets, so you need to select 10 into 5, total 50 pixels for a particular class during the collection of the training sample. So this is the way we can go for the selection of training samples, so that it can be very much useful to compute the variance and covariance matrices that is very important for the classification algorithm. So there are number of ways to collect the training site. Using a vector layer, then you can define a polygon in the image, identifying a training sample of the contiguous pixels, then identify a training sample of the contiguous pixels within a certain area, and using a class from a thematic raster layer from an image file of the same area. So once the training sites are collected, the mean, standard deviation, variance are computed for each class. So how to evaluate the training samples or training signatures? Whatever the training samples and signatures you have created, you have to evaluate the quality of that signatures. There are different tests that are used to perform the quality of the training signature training samples. You can evaluate the signatures that were created either from supervised or unsupervised training. For that, we may have the way of the evaluation of signatures, that is ellipse. View ellipse diagram and scatter plots of the data file values for each pair of the bands. Using the ellipse diagram, we can evaluate the quality of the signatures prior to the classification of that image. Okay, so signature separability is another way to evaluate the evaluate the training samples. It's a statistical measure of the distance between the two signatures, and the separability can be calculated for any combination of bands. There is a formula which is Euclidean distance formula that is based on the separability, that is used to calculate the separability between different training signatures. D is equal to under root summation di minus ei ka whole square. So this is the equation that is used to evaluate the signatures by calculating the signature separability. It's a kind of statistical measure. Now divergence is another type of method, another approach to analyze the signature quality. For you can say this is used to evaluate the quality of signatures on the basis of signature separability. So this is the formula for divergence that can be used to calculate the separability between two signatures for two different classes. So dij is equal to, the formula is written here. Using this formula, we can calculate the signature separability, the separability between the signatures of two different classes. I and j are the two signatures for two classes. Ci is the covariance matrix, mu I is the mean vector, tr is the trace function, t is the transposition function. So this formula was adopted by Swan and Davis 1978. So this is the way in which we can calculate the separability of the signatures or quality of the training samples before the classification. Transform divergence is another method. Okay, this is another method for calculating the separability of the signatures. So the scale of the divergence values can range from 0 to 2000. As a general rule, if the result is greater than 1900, then the class can be separated, and between 1700 and 1900, the separation is fairly good. Below 17%, if you get the result, if you get the value below 1700, then the separation between the two class signatures, the separation between two spectral signatures is considered as poor. So this is another important approach, transform divergence, to separate, to analyze the signature separability, to calculate the signature separability of the spectral signatures of two different classes. Jeffreys-Matsushita distance is another method for performing the signature separability, and the range for JM distance varies between 0 and 1414. So this distance has a saturating behavior with increasing class separation, like transform divergence. However, it is not as computationally efficient as transform divergence. Okay, because it can be saturated with the increasing number of bands. So it is better to adopt transform divergence method for getting the separability analysis of the signatures. So classification algorithm, how to select appropriate classification algorithm. There are several supervised classification algorithms are available that is used to assign unknown pixel to one of the classes. So how to choose a particular class, how to choose a specific classification process, that is depend on the nature of the input data and output required. Parametric classification algorithm assumes that the observed measurement vector obtained for each class in each spectral band during the training phase are Gaussian in nature, and non-parametric classification algorithm makes no such assumption. There are many classification algorithms like parallelepiped, minimum distance, maximum likelihood are available. Out of which we can select any of the classification algorithm as per the requirement, as per the nature of input and output data set. Parallelepiped classification algorithm. In parallelepiped decision rule, the data file values of the candidate pixel are compared to the upper and lower limit. Okay, so the minimum and maximum data file in parallelepiped classification algorithm of each band in the signature, and the mean of each band plus the minus the number of standard deviation of. So there are high and low limits of every signature, every spectral signature, or you can say the training sample in the band when a pixel's data file values are between the limit for every band in a signature. Then the pixel is assigned to that signature's class. That is parallelepiped classification algorithm, how it works. This is the formula for calculating the low and high decision boundary. It is defined as LCK is equal to mu CK minus SCK. Okay, so the parallelepiped algorithm becomes LCK is greater or less than BVIJK less than HCK. Mean and standard deviation and partition feature space. So how you can use means and standard deviation for partitioning the feature space, for classifying or for identifying different classes in feature space, that is known as box classifier. So by applying this partition feature space, we may have the classified data sets as it is seen in the figure. So this is the way in which we can calculate the spectral distance. The points A and B are the pixels in the image to be classified. So the pixel A has a brightness value of 40 in band 4 and 40 in the band 5, and pixel B has a brightness value of 10 in band 4 and 40 in the band 5. So the boxes represent the parallelepiped decision rule associated with A plus minus 1S classification. The vectors represent the distance from A and B to the mean of all classes in a minimum distance to the mean classification algorithm. This is the parallelepiped box. This is the way in which we can define a box. We can define a boundary of each and every class of water, urban, forest, crop, soil, and there is another ether class. Okay, so parallelepiped is a kind of box surrounding the particular class, pixel of particular class, and on the basis of that parallelepiped or box, we can perform the classification using parallelepiped classification algorithm. So if, but in some cases, when there are pixels, they may fall into the overlapping region. Maybe some classes having overlapping region with each other. So in that case, the pixels can be classified by the order of the signature, and the pixel can be classified by defining the parametric decision rule. And in that case, if it is not fulfilling any parametric decision rule, so that pixel can be left unclassified in that satellite images. So advantages of such kind of classification, that it is fast and simple. It provides us the broad classification, and it is not dependent on the normal distribution. The disadvantage of parallelepiped classification method is that the parallelepipes has corners. Pixels that are actually quite far spectrally from the mean of the signature may be classified. Minimum distance to mean classification algorithm. This decision rule is computationally simple and most commonly used method. It requires to calculate the mean vector for each classes in each band from the training samples. Okay, so it is based on the Euclidean distance that can be calculated for all the pixels present in the spectral signatures is using the formula written here, where mu CK and mu CL represents the mean vector for class C measured in the band K and band L. So in case of any unknown pixel, that will definitely be assigned to one of the any class. There will be no unclassified pixel when we use minimum distance to mean classification algorithm. This is the way we can perform minimum distance to mean classification algorithm. It checks the histogram of test training samples, and then on the basis of the histogram, it is prior to the shortest distance to the class mean. So the decision rule for minimum distance to mean is that it is, there is a priority to the shortest distance to the class mean. Okay, this is a feature space partitioning having minimum distance to mean classifier, mean vector, band 1, band 2, and after this partitioning of the feature space, and applying the minimum distance to mean classifier, we can have the classes, we can have the threshold distance for different land use land other classes. So it is assigned as a particular class. Advantages of this method is that since every pixel is spectrally closer to each other, so one sample mean or other, so there is no unclassified pixels. It is fastest that in comparison to the parallel pipe decision rule. Disadvantage is that the pixels which should be unclassified will become classified, and it does not consider the class variability. Now, Mahalanobis decision rule is another classification method comes under the supervised approach. It is based on Mahalanobis distance that is similar to the minimum distance. Expect the covariance matrix is used in the equation. The variance and covariance are measured so that the clusters that are highly varied lead to similarly varied classes. So this is the formula for Mahalanobis distance, and using this formula, it can be applied to classify any satellite images. These are the advantages and disadvantages of Mahalanobis distance method. It takes the variability of the classes into account, and it may be more useful than the minimum distance in cases of the statistical criteria or in case of the covariance matrix. But it is tends to overclassify the signatures with relatively large value in the covariance matrix. It is slower in processing in comparison to the parallel piped or minimum distance to mean. Now another classification method, that is maximum likelihood. The maximum likelihood rule method is based on the probability function that a pixel belongs to a particular class. The basic equation assumes that these probabilities are equal for all classes and that the input bands have normal distribution. If you have a prior knowledge that the probabilities are not equal for all classes, you can specify weight factors for particular class. This variation of the maximum likelihood decision rule is known as Bayesian decision rule. It is based on the Bayesian decision rule, and it is totally based on the probability of a pixel that should be belong to a particular land feature class or surface feature. Okay, this is the equation for the maximum likelihood classifier, which is written here. So by applying this method, we can easily calculate the probability of a pixel that should be assigned to a class, and it is dependent on the probability distribution function of the class. So this is the maximum likelihood classification process in which the uh, grouping of the pixels is based on the likelihood of the pixels, likelihood of that class, and on the basis of the likelihood, the unknown pixel will be assigned to the known class, which is more likely to have the class of that pixel. Okay. The advantages of maximum likelihood classification method is that it is most accurate of the classifier because it takes the most variables into the consideration. It takes the variability of the classes into account by using the covariance matrix, as does the Mahalanobis distance. The disadvantages of maximum likelihood that it is an extensive equation that takes a long time to compute. The computation time increases with the number of input bands. The maximum likelihood is parametric, meaning that it relies heavily on a normal distribution of the data in each input band. It tends to overclassify the signatures with relatively large values in the covariance matrix. So this is all about the supervised classification methods, how we can perform supervised classification of satellite images to get the thematic information of different classes. Either we are talking about urban area, non-urban area, any kind of forest land, water bodies, and so on. So in the next class, we will discuss about unsupervised classification methods, and we'll see how this unsupervised classification method works for classifying the satellite images. Okay, so thank you very much for today's class. Now we will meet again in the next class for discussing the unsupervised classification method. Thank you very much.